Today I'm going to talk to you about the different types of stage lanterns. If you look at a hire company catalogue, you'll see that there are hundreds of different types of stage lights to choose from. But if you look carefully, you'll discover that it's all variations on a theme. Different voltages, different wattages, different beam spreads. But in reality, there are only 5 different types of lanterns. This is floods, Fresnels, profiles, beam lights and pebble convex. In the early days of stage lighting, the stage was lit by rows of gas flames as footlights along the front. And then when electricity came along, they replaced the gas flames with electric light bulbs, shielded by smart little shades, usually in the form of some form of shell. And that would throw the light from the foot onto the stage itself. Interestingly enough, we still retain the same size pipe in order to hang our stage lanterns on that we used to use as gas pipe, and that would be 2-inch gas barrel. The very first individual lanterns were floodlights. As you can see, it's a bulb in a box, and we got quite fancy because we've now got a reflector in there as well. And when I turn that on in a moment, what you'll see is the light goes in all different directions. There's nothing to stop the light going anywhere. You can't control the light. All you can do is turn it on and turn it off. As you can see, it's a wide beam light with no clearly definable edge. Stages continued to be lit with floodlights until the late 1940s, early 1950s, when there was a boom in entertainment. And what people wanted to do was to be able to highlight particular parts of the stage to create bright spots and dark spots. They didn't want it as an even illumination. So Strand's chief designer at the time, Frederick Bentham, he came up with what's called the acting area flood, not normally in this colour. And it has a bulb in here that shines its light up to a reflector at the top, and the beam is then contained by this bell of a lantern. So it comes out the end and creates a highlighted area. When I turn this on, what you'll see is we end up with a bright spot in the centre. It's still a floodlight, there's no lenses or anything in the way, there's nothing to contain the light apart from the physical lantern itself. At the same time as the acting area flood was developed, we found ourselves in a situation in this country that we still had national service, but the war had finished. So we had thousands of soldiers that needed to do something. So in order to keep them busy, the government came up with a plan of doing military tattoos or pageants all over the place. And this would use up thousands of servicemen and keep them busy for a long time. This would take place in a football field-sized field, usually at night, and therefore they needed a way of throwing light from the side out to the centre to light the thing up so people could see it. So they came up with the Pageant Lantern. You won't see many of these about, only in sort of dark theatre storerooms somewhere, and very few of them will still work. It's still a floodlight, it's a bulb in a box, there's no lens or anything in the way. But what you will note is we've got these spill rings that have appeared on the front. Now these would have been used in the war on World War II searchlights. You also, if you've ever visited a lighthouse, you will recognise this kind of pattern. And what this does is it takes the light and it starts to contain it slightly and throws it forward. Now when we turn this on, you'll see the kind of effect we'll get from this. So we've now got a very concentrated beam, very powerful, and that would throw a light quite a distance. You would easily get plenty of light out into the centre of a football field with a lantern like this. This is probably one of the very first examples of what then became known as a beam light. So now we move up to date, and this is probably the first lantern you recognise. This is a modern flood. Slightly more stylised box, and you'll notice that the light bulb is now a linear light bulb. It's no longer looking like a large conventional tungsten light bulb. You will also see that it's got a slightly different reflector. I don't know if that's coming out on the camera, but it's what's referred to as an asymmetric reflector. The other ones were a symmetrical reflector, and it's through the same amount of light in all directions. This one is now a curved reflector, and it's designed to throw a lot of light that way, but not very much light that way. So when you put this on your cyclorama bar, it'll light the sight quite nicely, throwing a lot of light down, but not very much light in that direction. Now as we turn this on, you can see the benefits of the asymmetrical reflector. There is a line across the top, and that will be the top of your cyclorama, and then it throws its light in an even pattern downwards to light the whole of the back of the stage. So that shows you the development of floodlights, and it all shows you the start of the development of theatre lighting as a whole. We now move on to our next video, which will start to talk about Fresnels.